Libya is no stranger to flooding. Unfortunately, today is no different. Heavy rains have resulted in widespread flooding throughout the North African country. Even in the capital of Tripoli, which is rarely affected by flooding, areas have become inundated with water. People are being forced to flee their homes to escape the floodwaters, and the city's infrastructure is already undergoing tremendous strain. Roads and bridges have been destroyed, bringing travel to a standstill in some areas. As the rain continues to fall, the situation is only getting worse, with entire towns and villages being submerged in water. The government of Libya is seeking international assistance to help mitigate the effects of the flooding. Food, shelter and medicine are desperately needed by those affected in order to help them cope with the situation. Emergency aid teams have been deployed to the flood-affected areas, and they are working hard to ensure the safety and well-being of those affected. The flooding has also caused abandonment of livestock, leaving them to die from the rising water levels. In many cases, the livestock are the only source of income for those affected, and this puts a financial burden on the local communities. The government of Libya is taking precautionary measures to ensure that the flooding does not worsen, by closing roads in some areas and releasing water from rivers. However, the situation is expected to get worse before it gets better, as more rain is predicted over the coming days. It is important that people in the affected areas stay safe and remain vigilant, as any delay in getting assistance can worsen the situation. Many people have lost everything they have in the floods, and the only way to get back on their feet is through the assistance of the international community. People in the affected areas are also reminded to stay away from the floodplains, as they can be highly dangerous and unpredictable. The flooding has also been affecting the agricultural sector in Libya, with crops and livestock being wiped out by the water. This will further put a financial burden on those affected, as they will be left without a major source of income. The floods have also caused disruption to electricity and sewage systems, rendering many homes without access to these essential services. The government is working hard to restore these services as soon as possible, but it will take some time before they are back up and running. There is no doubt that the flooding in Libya is a major natural disaster, and every effort is being made to ensure the safety and well-being of those affected. The government is urging people to remain indoors and avoid any unnecessary travel, in order to keep them out of harm's way. People in the flood-affected areas are also being advised to conserve water as much as possible, as supplies are limited. Even though the water levels have been receding, they are still far from returning to normal. The government of Libya is working hard to put in place plans to deal with the flooding in the long term. Unfortunately, with more rains expected over the coming days, it is likely that the situation will worsen before it gets better.